The intention setting exercise itself is my favorite exercise to run now. So Tony, what I do say, and Monique, this is equally applicable to you, is that because I've come across such aversion to it at a real senior leadership level, one, because it's maybe my hypothesis around people's time, attention, ability to understand this and the importance that they believe it has. Because of that, when you're working with smaller teams, sometimes it can be overwhelming to say, hey, we're going to get together to do this culture workshop. And because culture is technically the domain of an HR team, and because of that, HR teams get a bit protective of things and go, well, why you can't run that culture thing because we're in charge of that, which is ludicrous, right? And even if they haven't said that, sometimes those are the roadblocks they put in place despite, and they're not using that language, but that's often the reason why. And also the word culture can scare some teams off. We can't do a culture thing, it's just our team, and that's too big for us to do on our own. That's the thing that happens from up here. And so these are all things, conversations I hear, excuses that I hear, reasons I hear. And so what I've started saying to people, and what I've started suggesting, what other people are suggesting to me, is that maybe even leave the word culture out of it and just say, we're going to run this team building exercise. And Brené Brown did this apparently for 15 years when it came to her vulnerability work. So for 15 years, she was developing vulnerable teams. The vulnerability is a skill within teams, but she wasn't telling organizations that's what she was doing. She was going in there and saying, we're going to do some team building stuff. And then her work is around increasing vulnerability and courage. And she said this on a podcast the other day. She said, for 15 years, I couldn't mention that to people. I just had to say we're doing team building stuff. And it was my Trojan horse. And I've been talking about Trojan horses for ages, so I love that she was using that. And this is similar. You might say, let's just do this team building thing. You take people through the game, and inadvertently you started the conversation around culture without them even knowing it's happening, which I think is even better, because then we don't get paralyzed by that word, which scares so many people. And it's so confusing and becomes so convoluted and becomes so complex. So I certainly think sometimes you can go, let's just do this team building exercise, this game, not even exercise, this game, and use the intention setting game activity as the exercise you do, which is simply, as a team, what do we want to feel for the next 2 months? What do we not want to feel for the next 2 months? And you just start using that conversation. So Karen, that might be, I don't think I've mentioned that on camera before to anybody apart from just one-to-one. And that might be a way that you can start to think about how you talk about it inside your agency, if that word is scaring people off and you're getting a bit of aversion for it.